to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's July 18th, 2019, and this is episode 29. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started. New in theaters this week, we've just got one film, and it's a big one. It's the remake of Disney's The Lion King. This, as you may recall, is a remake of the 1994 film from Disney Animation. It's a remake using a photorealistic style that they have done all with computers, with computer-generated imagery and virtual reality and some other pretty fancy tools. I did a full review of this film last week, so in the July 11th podcast, as well as a written review on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. So if you want to check out my review, that's where you can find it. Just to give you a little bit of a recap, in case you need it, of The Lion King, here's what the press materials had to say. Director Jon Favreau's all-new The Lion King journeys to the African savannah, where a future king is born. Simba idolizes his father, King Mufasa, and takes to heart his own royal destiny. But not everyone in the kingdom celebrates the new cub's arrival. Scar, Mufasa's brother, and the former heir to the throne, has plans of his own. The battle for Pride Rock is ravaged with betrayal, tragedy, and drama, ultimately resulting in Simba's exile. With help from a curious pair of newfound friends, Simba will have to figure out how to grow up and take back what is rightfully his. The all-star vocal cast includes Donald Glover as Simba, Beyonce Knowles Carter as Nala, James Earl Jones is back as Mufasa, Chiwetel Ejiofor is Scar, Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, and Billy Eichner as Timon. Utilizing pioneer filming techniques to bring treasured characters to life in a whole new way, Disney's The Lion King roars into theaters tomorrow on July 19th, 2019. Now, one of my friends who's a critic told me in some of the press materials that she received said that no animals were harmed in the making of this film, which cracked me up because no animals were used in the making of this film. It's all done, via computer. So hopefully the animators made it through. Okay, they're the ones we should be worried about, and not the animals. So this Lion King remake is rated PG by the Motion Picture Association for sequences of violence and peril and some thematic elements. So there you have it. New in theaters this week is the remake of The Lion King. For Classic Cinema Corner, we've got a few things to discuss. First up is coming up is from the TCM Big Screen Classics series is the film Glory. This is from 1989. This is celebrating the 30th anniversary of Glory. And as you may recall, Glory is a Civil War film. It tells the story of the 1st Black Regiment to fight for the North. And Glory stars Matthew Broderick and Carrie Elwes, and they star as idealistic young Bostonians who lead this regiment. And then it also stars, of course, Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman plays an inspirational sergeant who unites the troops. And then Denzel Washington, who won an Oscar, he won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his role as a runaway slave who embodies the indomitable spirit of this regiment. This is the 54th Regiment of Massachusetts. So this classic Civil War film is playing in theaters on Sunday, July 21st, and Wednesday, July 24th. And again, I love this TCM Big Screen Classics series. Just to be able to see, these movies on the big screen again is great. I'm not sure if I've ever seen Glory on the big screen, so I'm really looking forward to going. Go to fathomevents.com/TCM, and I'll have a link to this in the podcast notes. But that's where you can see a list of theaters. You can just put in your zip code, and the website will give you a list of theaters where Glory's playing near you. These TCM Big Screen Classic series play in a lot of theaters across the country, so hopefully you'll be able to find one near you and be able to go check it out. Again, on July 21st and July 24th. Usually, I think it depends on the theater, but usually they have a couple of screenings on each of those days. Like a matinee and an evening screening. It's not always the case. But anyway, fathomevents.com/TCM. Go check out Glory. Then, on the TCM network, they're doing some cool stuff this month, also on July 24th, as well as July 31st. They're doing a salute to the 20th Century Fox studio. And on these two nights, on July 24th and July 31st, they are playing some landmark films from the Fox studios. 20th Century Fox, since it's been recently purchased by the Walt Disney Company, is still, of course, it's still a studio, and it's being run as a subsidiary of Disney. But, things are probably just going to be different for Fox. So I believe that's one of the reasons why TCM has put together this salute. Fox has an interesting history. It was started in 1915 by a motion picture executive named William Fox. William Fox was an immigrant from Hungary. In fact, his birth name was Vilmos Fuchs. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly, but he began making short films, and then started making some successful feature-length films, and then the Great Depression happened after the stock market crash of 1929, and Fox got into trouble. The 20th Century Fox Corporation was formed actually in 1935 when Daryl Zanuck left. He left the United Artists Studio after a dispute and merged his company with the company that he had was called 20th Century Pictures, and they merged it with Fox Film, and then it became 20th Century Fox. So Fox has been in business for over 80 years. They're located in the Century City area of Los Angeles. And, Fox has had some other acquisitions, too. In 1985, it was acquired by the News Corporation. And then, of course, the acquisition by the Walt Disney Company that happened earlier, it was finalized earlier this year. So this retrospective that TCM is doing on July 24th and July 31st, has some pretty cool and representative films from the Fox studios, representing their 5 decades of outstanding filmmaking. First up, on July 24th, is the Shirley Temple film Bright Eyes from 1934. It was the first movie designed especially for Shirley Temple, who, of course, was just a major star in the early days of 20th Century Fox. It features her signature song "On the Good Ship Lollipop." I'm not sure if I've ever seen Bright Eyes all the way through, so I'm looking forward to that. Then next up is the one of the great mystery films, which is Laura from 1944, which stars Jean Tierney, who was also a favorite leading lady at Fox. She stars as a beautiful advertising executive who is thought to have been murdered and haunts a detective played by Dana Andrews through a portrait. So I've seen Laura before, and I'm again looking forward to that. They're playing also a really interesting message picture. Meaning a film that's got a pretty significant message and moral to it. It's Gentleman's Agreement from 1947, which stars Gregory Peck as a journalist who adopts who takes on a Jewish identity to write an article about anti-Semitism. Elia Kazan directs this film that also stars Dorothy McGuire and John Garfield and Celeste Holm. So this film won the Oscar for Best Picture of 1947, and so I'm looking forward to seeing Gentleman's Agreement. Also playing is All About Eve, which is of course just one of the all-time great Bette Davis films. It's stars Bette Davis and Celeste Holm and Baxter, George Sanders, and Marilyn Monroe has a little bit part in this. But it's kind of the ultimate movie about life in the theater, and honestly just one of the all-time greats. So then the night continues on with The Black Swan, and then with The Agony and the Ecstasy, which is the biopic about Michelangelo painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. That's a really cool film. Then on Wednesday, July 31st, we've got some a few, I guess, a little more modern films, although they are considered classics too. But TCM now is going to be showing Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope from 1977. So that's awesome. Also showing the French Connection, which is really made in 1971, a really great crime thriller starring Gene Hackman. It's got one of the best car chase sequences ever put on film. Directed by William Friedkin, it won 5 Oscars that year. One for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. Anyway, so good stuff with the French Connection, and then also Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks' great comedy spoof of monster movies. So and then Niagara which was made in 1953, and then also The Fly from 1958. So totally cool movies from 20th Century Fox on July 24th and July 31st on TCM, and I hope you're able to check some of those out and enjoy the great movies from Fox. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about all of the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Until next time, thanks again.